broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I feel like that's a good song to start this with.
Yeah, I think so too. Perfect.
Blast from the past, Matchbox 20. Wait, hello AfterBuzz TV fans, and welcome to episode 4 of the AfterBuzz TV Blindspot after show. We are talking about episode 4, Phone May Rot, and it looks like our anagram for this title is Or Maybe Not. I have with me the wonderful Stephanie Garrett.
Hey guys.
What's your Twitter?
My Twitter is @StephanieG3360 on Twitter and on Instagram.
Yeah. And I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter @Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. We are also keeping an eye on the hashtag that is ABTVBlindspot. So if you have something fun you want to say, if you have questions, you may well get your comment on the air and get a shout out. So, what'd you think of this episode?
I thought it was great. Lots of reveals and lots of new stuff to talk about. Oh, should we call her Taylor or Jane? I kind of want to start calling her Taylor.
I've been calling her Jane in my notes because my brain will not switch gears like that.
Okay.
And because, we couldn't handle the tooth.
Yeah.
So many bad jokes, you guys. It's just going to happen tonight. I'm going to sink my teeth into it and we're going to go. Serious, you haven't hosted with me when I've had my own personal pun-offs, have you?
No, I have not.
Oh, boy.
Oh, here we go.
It's going to be a thing, you guys. It's going to be a thing.
Okay.
So if you don't like puns, this may not be the episode for you. I thought it was okay.
Really?
I thought the writing was unbalanced because part of the show is balancing our procedural half, our case of the week, our what does the tattoo bring us to today, and the character balancing and the who is Jane Doe and the figuring out the backstory, all of the character-driven backbone of the show that makes it work. And I feel like we had a lot more towards character-driven backbone, and our procedural half was race against the clock, and here's this, and we finished it with 45 minutes into the episode. We still had 15 minutes left, which was essentially 8 to 10 minutes with commercials, but still, that's a long time in a 42-minute TV show in which to deal with character stuff. And that didn't balance very well because usually in a procedural, you kind of skid to the finish and you dedicate the last minute or two to wrap up the character stuff that happened in the episode. Unless the character stuff is extremely integral to the case itself. One of the team members has been kidnapped, etc. I'm thinking of CSI.
Okay.
Because that's where my backbone for procedurals comes from, is years and years of watching CSI.
I don't know. I like the backstories of the characters, though, because it brings them to life finally, Oh,
yeah, I do, too. I feel like it wasn't balanced well in terms of pacing, in terms of what was happening when, and what we had to finish.
Right.
Which, when we were watching it, at one point I went, oh, hey, that's wrapped up. We have a lot left in this episode. Why is it wrapped up already?
Right.
Like, what just happened?
Yeah.
So, I thought the balance wasn't there. And I thought the procedural was just kind of okay. I feel like they could have taken us on a few more twists and turns, and that would have been just as intriguing and kept you guessing. It was pretty straightforward. It's like, oh, okay, we know it's Rebecca. Oh, Rebecca's gone. You know what? I bet the other guy had something to do with it. I bet Frank was, yep. 30 seconds later, oh, yeah, it's also Frank. Just like, okay.
Right, so obvious.
It was a little too straightforward for me as far as let's figure out the mystery gang goes. Just,
Yeah. Well, I like to see What I liked about this episode was it gave, like I said, a little bit backstory on the characters. Patterson and her cute little boyfriend.
Aww.
They were so adorable. Oh my goodness, the two of them.
Until it turned out that she was, Patterson and the boyfriend. I'm thinking of Zapata and the not boyfriend.
Not boyfriend. No, not her bookie. But that's different. We'll get to that.
I love Patterson and David.
Yeah, aren't they cute?
I have a thing down in my notes, and it's all in caps. David, you little nerd boyfriend, do you not understand classified?
No, he does not.
It's like, well, but what's the problem? The problem is that you don't have clearance, dude.
Right. He's looking at through all the photos. It's like, get your hands off of that.
Yeah, which, because it's this kind of show, kind of makes me suspect his motives.
Really?
He's tiny and cute and adorable, and that makes me suspect him more.
Seriously. Kind of like a little rat.
Or like kittens. You think kittens are great, and then they beat you up.
Yeah, and they scratch you. Yeah.
I volunteer at a cat shelter. I get beat up more by kittens than I do by any given adult cat.
Okay.
They're vicious little things. Cute, but vicious. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what he reminds me of. He's a kitten, and right now he's playing with things he's not supposed to, and it's adorable. And sooner or later, somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And you don't think kittens can hurt you, and then things occur.
Well, I was going to ask you, did you think that Mayfair's tapping her phone, how she knew that, did she solve the thing on her own?
Patterson also said we, and then did a terrible save. So that anyone who was watching that is like, oh no, you totally had help. You're just not telling us who.
Right.
And it was Mayfair that went, so you're prying into my secrets. Who helped you with that tattoo that you solved on your own?
Right.
And that shut her up.
She was
pretty good.
That's a good listen. She was listening really well for that.
It was hard to miss.
Yeah.
Because Patterson did and we were, I was having a breakfast.
Yeah, and did you notice all the puzzles in the background when David was like looking at all the photos? I thought he's a puzzle dude. That's his thing. That's his game,
He is, but if they do bring him on to help, which maybe they should, he needs to have the appropriate clearance. He needs to be brought on as a contractor or a freelancer or whatever the appropriate terminology is.
Yeah.
He can't just find the folder on the kitchen table and be like, turn it this way and it's a bird. Like it again, looking at the whole classified thing, it doesn't work that way. And even as a civilian, we have enough knowledge of the military to know that classified kind of means, if I look at this, there could be trouble.
Right. Well, I like the fact that they at least did solve it, sort of, kind of.
Oh, yeah. No, I like him and I want to see more of him.
I do too.
Like I said, he's tiny and adorable.
He's adorable. I just love him so much. I want to just hug him.
And from what we saw, they're super cute together.
Very cute, yeah. Well, I like the fact that they figured out it was the CDC, the tattoo. That was awesome.
Just classic misdirection. It's not the leaves. It's where they intersect. I'm like, nerd. Seriously, super cute. Such a puzzle nerd. Love it.
Yeah, who else could figure? I would have never figured that out. I'd be like, what are you looking at?
I would not be on that team.
No.
I'd be like, no, I'm out somewhere else. I'm PR, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, not my thing.
So seeing them was a cute couple, and it was kind of an interesting contrast to Zapata.
Yeah.
Because towards the beginning, we had a great little interaction between Zapata and Reed. And I'm with you that the character backstories are what make the show.
Yeah.
And just these little casual conversations are what really, really help. It's nice to have these not in a stilted, and here is my backstory, and here is the way.
Uh-huh. Well, Tasha Zapata is her name, right? And
Yes.
and Edgar Reed, I figured that out.
You can tell they've been working together for forever.
Right.
They've got banter. They're great partners. They're so much fun. And he sees her with another guy and makes a crack about, oh, is that your new boyfriend? He's not your type. What do you mean? Well, usually you date, what was it, weightlifters and Vikings?
Yeah, like Vikings.
Something like that.
Yeah. She's like, no, he was like a coach. And what else did she say he was?
She was a soccer coach and an accounts manager.
There you go.
And then just the crack about, well, if you'd stop paying attention to how they look, maybe you'd get out of this rut. Just great little ribbing banter.
Yeah, like brother and sister.
And they bring it around at the end that Zapata has been screening this guy's calls. And it turns out that, like you said, he's her bookie.
Who knew?
And she's $40K in debt to this guy.
Ooh-wee, that's not good.
Because I guess the Jets lost tonight, and that this has just been an ongoing stream of double or nothing, double or nothing, double or nothing.
Right.
And it continually being nothing. So evidently she has 3 days to pay back her debts. And I'll be interested to see how they weave it into things, and if we'll wind up with one of those, an agent is in trouble, we have to go help them storylines.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't have anything to do with tattoos, because how do you predict that?
Right. Yeah. I'm just interested to know where she's getting the 40 grand from. You know, like in 3 days. Who can do that?
That doesn't seem physically possible.
No,
unless you take out some crazy loans.
Right.
And even those take longer than 3 days.
Right. So I think it's going to be interesting watching to see what happens with that.
So that I thought was some really good contrast between Patterson and David, and then Zapata and her bookie. It's like, oh, here's a cute relationship. Oh, here's a cute. Nope.
No.
Oh, denied. And the way they frame that last shot, it's in the dark. They frame it as him coming up behind her. It's super creepy.
Yeah, at first I thought he was like a stalker. I was like, oh, he must be a stalker boyfriend.
It's like, why are you screening your boyfriend's okay.
Yeah, like maybe a guy she like went out with or something, and then she's like, get him, beat it. Stop calling me. He's like, no, lady, I want my money. My 40 G's.
Which makes sense.
Right. Yep. So I thought that I like the fact that they are giving us bits and pieces of the characters.
Yeah.
A little bit of backstory, that way we can shape who they are and, what they're about. Because, eventually it's going to make a difference when they get into the context of the team.
And nobody wants an info dump, because those are very rarely well done.
Yeah, right.
So as long as we're talking backstories, let's talk about Jane/Taylor/whoever she might be.
Yeah.
And we have I love the psychiatrist, and I'm kicking myself that I keep missing his name every time he comes up, because I don't think they ever say it anymore.
I don't think they do, and I like it. Yeah, he's got a beautiful accent. He's really cute. I mean, not that means anything. I'm just saying.
Oh no, he is. He does, and he is. I am with you on that one.
The things we girls notice.
But he at this point, he's just kind of showing up once an episode to kind of frame what our emotional growth and reveals for Jane are going to be in the upcoming episode. He's become more of a plot device than a character.
Right.
And that makes me sad, because I love him and I want more.
He just kind of moves the story along a little bit.
He does.
Yeah.
I want an episode about that guy.
Yeah.
Maybe then I'll learn his name.
Right. So
that would be super helpful.
Right.
But he essentially tells Kurt, talk to her about Jane, about Taylor, talk to her about what you remember. And maybe that will trigger a memory, because her mother's name, where she lived, all of this stuff are really big things that can help bring that up.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that was an actual flashback or if it was just kind of a reconstruction that she was thinking of.
You mean Taylor? When she saw herself as a little girl?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe it might have been a flashback. Oh,
because the other flashbacks, correct me if I'm wrong, but they've been shot in a fairly straightforward manner.
Right.
You can see the details, you can see what she remembers, and this had some beautiful Dutch angles going on in it. Very, very good for the atmosphere. It's so easy to abuse a Dutch angle, and this, for those of you who don't know, that's kind of when the camera's tilted a little sideways, so it really just kind of messes you up.
Yeah.
They're used a lot in horror movies,
and
especially when you've got a character who's standing in a doorway. They just tilt it a little, because that's really supposed to make you feel off kilter.
Yeah.
And those are difficult to use correctly because everyone overuses them, but they're really good for atmosphere, and they use them during this flashback when it shows someone coming into young Taylor's room and beckoning for her to come with him, taking her hand, and then walking away.
I said something to the effect that that's just really creepy.
And we didn't see Taylor's face, we didn't see his face. Usually for what flashbacks we get a fairly good picture. And so this, to me, seems like it's more a reconstruction of what Kurt is telling her than an actual memory. Oh, I remember that sort of moment.
She did have a little bit of a flashback at some point, sort of something very similar, didn't she? Or did I miss that?
I think I was looking down taking notes at that point.
Okay. She had something very similar to that, and so I'm thinking, well, maybe it could be a memory.
It's possible, but they're doing a really good job of keeping it vague. And so we get the audience knew this.
Yeah.
But Kurt talking to her about, well, when you disappeared, it was just me in the house. Everyone blamed my dad because he was too close. And what we didn't know was that he lied about his alibi.
Right.
There wasn't any physical evidence, but he made himself suspicious because he lied. No one's forgiven him. Kurt hasn't forgiven him, all that fun stuff. And he tells Jane, Taylor, that. And then we get the stinger at the end. And I was kind of waiting for this to happen because last week's title anagram to Taylor Shaw, and this week's title anagram to Or Maybe Not.
Or maybe not.
Yeah, our last one's was The Missing Girl, something like that. But this one is Or Maybe Not, and we get the stinger at the end with the tooth. Because you took one of her teeth, it got knocked out in the fight. It's not like she can put it back in.
I know, I thought that was hilarious.
There is a reason Patterson is my favorite person on this show. Because she's a wonderful human being, and I adore lab techs.
Well, I just wanted to add something about Kurt. I like when he was talking to her, and he was saying he had fond memories of his dad. Because from what I gather, he and the dad are not speaking on speaking terms. They're estranged.
That's correct.
Yeah, because of all the whole Taylor situation. So I like the fact that he showed some humility, a little emotion, something other than all the time. I like the fact he seemed very sweet when he was talking, to have a smile on his face about going fishing and they didn't catch much and things like that. I like that.
Well, but he also thinks that he has Taylor back.
Right.
And so he's going to act a little differently around them. And I loved Reed's conversation with Jane towards the end of the episode about how we all depend on Weller. We all depend on him to be, he's got the best instincts. He does this. We depend on him to be a certain person when we're in the field.
Yeah.
And when he's around you, he's not that person. He's someone different. And so if you've been working with a guy for years and suddenly this happens and you're depending on this person in life or death situations, and he's suddenly making decisions that might be clouded by personal judgment that may not be on the mark, that's terrifying.
Very.
Because that's everyone's lives in his hands, and those are hands that may no longer be capable.
Yeah.
So I can understand Reed's hesitancy to continue to bring Jane into the field.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And I also was thinking about the flashback when we saw Taylor in the hand of the adult person, taking her out. She clearly, I think, in my humble opinion, she knew that person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that person was very familiar to her. She didn't look afraid. She wasn't screaming and kicking. He wasn't dragging her out of there. And there was no forced entry. So, according to Kurt, this is Kurt's story, his flashback.
When he was like 13, 14,
right?
young.
Something like that. He was like a child. But I guess, something that clear that night, I would think you'd probably have pretty clear memories about that because that's something that sort of changes your life.
I mean, she doesn't remember everything, but her memories have been clear enough that it's odd that one was shot in such a, I hesitate to say mysterious, but
well, they're just giving us snippets. They're just saying they're saving the juicy stuff for the end.
Is she actually remembering it, or is it your imagination,
or is it really her?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Not us yet, but we got a full season order, so hopefully we'll find out at some point in our lives.
We'll figure it out.
This is one of those shows where I sincerely hope that they have an end in mind and that they don't just get canceled suddenly at the end of the season.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
I'd like for them to actually be able to wrap up where this is going.
Yeah.
And not have to try to stretch it out like Lost. And not have to try to, we have half a season to wrap up literally everything. Go.
Right, yeah. That's true.
That's difficult.
And because she's got so many tattoos, that's at least 5 seasons, I would think.
And they're overlapped, and they're just, I'm wondering how many of them are just, this one, it's under her clothes usually.
Yeah.
Because we do get the scene of the full body scan, and we get a lot of those, but I wonder how many individual ones they have in there and what they have planned for them.
I don't know. I was thinking that apparently, and now you can tell me if I'm wrong about this, her tattoos appear to be solving crimes. Yes. Am I right?
Yeah, usually before they're committed.
Usually before they're committed. Okay, I was just making sure that I wasn't the only one thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was, they're leading to certain things. And the fact that she had the black light tattoos, remember we were talking about that last week.
Yeah, and that we learned they are very specific black light tattoos because the CDC uses a very specific UV light frequency. And that the ink used, the tattoos would not have shown up in any other UV light. They wouldn't have shown up in any other circumstance. They were meant to show up in a decontamination chamber for the CDC.
Bizarre.
Extremely.
Everybody's looking at her like, do you know that's on your face? She's like, what?
Like, that's
what's going on?
There's something on the right there. I don't think you can get it off.
No. Yeah. And each one of the numbers leads to an infectious disease.
Yeah, let's swing back into the procedural side.
Yeah, there we go. Here we go. So
because we have the adorable lab tech duo figuring out this tattoo that is the overlap of an oak and an elm. It's oak and something.
Oh,
leaves.
Open.
I have it written down. Oak and maple.
Yes. Yes, that's it. I can't even say
maple.
it. Oak and maple. I can't even say it. Never mind.
Leaves. But evidently those are street names, and the intersection of such is where the CDC is. So they trundle on out to the CDC like, hello, we're here to inspect things. We don't know what we're looking for, but we're here to inspect things.
Yeah.
We get our introductions to Frank Surrey, who is the CDC's military liaison, and Rebecca Fine, who is the deputy director of epidemiology. I have no idea if I said that right.
I think that's right. Yeah.
I haven't heard it in almost an hour, therefore
Right.
I'm clueless. And they send them to Juliet Chang, who is Rebecca's lab assistant, to kind of lead them around, take them into to decontaminate. God, so many words. To a decontamination chamber,
Right.
so she can take them further into the offices. And that's when the tattoos show up. And they find out that each string of number, there's 10 strings of numbers, there's like 4 on her forehead and 2 on each cheek or something like
Right.
that. And each of them corresponds with infectious diseases with no known cures. SARS, MERS, Ebola, all that fun stuff. The very big tag words that are absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
And evidently there are very few people with access to those vials. And the last person to access them was Walter, whom we saw at the very beginning was a guy who died 2 years ago because of a tear in his hazmat suit.
Right.
And he died horribly, and that was not fun to watch.
Very,
Poor
very,
man.
very outbreak.
And that's something that you would imagine those suits get checked and checked again and checked a third time, that you're very secure about those. So for that to happen is oddly careless for a guy like that.
Right.
Because he was the director or the deputy director. He was very, very high up and should know the procedures and the safety. So him dying was not fun.
What about the other guy? Frank Surrey, the military liaison I wrote down?
Yeah.
And principal director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. He got introduced with Rebecca.
Yeah.
So they take them down. It turns out that these diseases need to be kept in a biohazard level 4 lab, and surprise, surprise, we have one in CDC headquarters.
Of course
that
they do.
most people don't know about. I have to wonder how much of this show actually exists and is research, and they actually do have that, and half of it is we've researched this much. And now we need to exaggerate.
Yeah, you know what? With the CDC, you never know.
This is it's either a really good show for conspiracy theorists or a really bad show for conspiracy
Probably
theorists.
a little of both.
It's that's interesting. Now I believe it, and I'm terrified.
I know, I'm terrified.
Oh, honey.
Right.
So they get down to the lab, and they realize that all of the vials that have the numbers on them are missing. All of the vials that are on Jane's face. It's an odd way to put it, but that's where they are.
Right.
And a lockdown is triggered, so they're stuck there for, I want to say it's about 2 hours.
It looks like.
They find out that Rebecca triggered it remotely. The place where she triggered it from, she was logged into her laptop, logged into her own computer, all that fun stuff. The place where she triggered it from was on Brooklyn, and she had her own little CDC lab there.
Yeah.
And she was trying to weaponize the virus. And it turns out that the last 9 major outbreaks, the outbreak of SARS, the outbreak of all that fun stuff, occurred in cities that she had traveled to right before the outbreak began.
Weird.
And that is not a coincidence anymore. That's not good.
No, it's not.
So she's got one disease left, and it is hemorrhagic fever.
Oh.
And it's essentially Ebola's big angry brother.
Right.
Who's not happy to see anybody. Bleeding from everywhere.
Right.
You don't want to do that and still live.
No.
So she was in the process of weaponizing it. They upped her timetable. She put it in an airport, which was smart.
Very.
Horrific, but smart.
Right.
And they were able to contain it before it got set off. And she was essentially running away with her husband, had her husband pick her up. And when the police caught up to them, she's like, I'm trying to save the world. I'm so sorry. This will be less painful. Kills him,
And then
kills
kills
herself.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a rough scene to watch. You feel so bad for her husband. He had no idea.
No clue at all. And the scene where Weller is in the airport with the bag starting to hiss, and he's standing there with just plastic over it. I said, I have been running out of there. He's just standing there looking at it. I'm like, dude, you might want to leave.
Well, they made the comment that he was very much a control freak. So, of course, he'd be like, you guys go to safety, and I'm going to stand here and glare at this to make sure it doesn't move.
Right.
I will intimidate this disease with my gaze.
I will not catch it.
It's afraid of me.
And I was like, really? Okay, okay, whatever.
Instead of Chuck Norris jokes, we have Kurt Weller jokes.
Yeah, that one I just didn't kind of buy, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, so Suri shows up. It's like, my team's on its way. You know, I'll contain it from here. You go ahead. And Kurt goes, nope, you're going to bring me a hazmat suit and I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
Because I obviously know a lot about this, being FBI.
Right. Yeah.
And we get a last-minute update from Patterson. And this is what I was talking about earlier when it's like, oh, Suri's gone to help him. You know what? I bet he's in on it. 30 seconds later, he's totally in on it. He bought a worldwide plane ticket like an hour ago that has all sorts of layovers all over the place.
You called it.
He's going to infect himself, and he's going to spread it all over the world, and he's probably compromised his suit and yours. So have fun with that.
Right.
And then we get a hazmat fight, which made me really, really happy.
Yeah, Jane to the rescue. Taylor to the rescue.
Or even just the two of them punching each other while in hazmat suits. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, it was like watching two cartoon characters.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why they always put Jane and Weller in the yellow suits and everyone else is in white. So you can be like, those are our protagonists. It's like when you're watching a war movie, the protagonist never wears their helmet or their headgear.
Right.
And they're fine.
They're fine.
And everyone else is hosed no matter what.
Right.
But these guys, we can see their faces. They'll be okay.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Jane gives him a beatdown.
Yeah.
As usual. That's what she does.
And so we stop this horrible thing from occurring, and it turns out they wanted to do population control by means of horrific disease. Because the planet cannot support 8 billion people, and we're on the way to, you know, all the things we already know.
I was going to say, that's actually a real conspiracy theory. I'm just saying. Not saying it's true. You know, it's obviously not true. Well, at least as far as I know. I hope not.
This show
is
a
conspiracy theory. I don't know.
It's either great for theorists or awful for theorists.
Yeah, we keep hearing that one come up over and over again. So who knows? That's probably where they got it from.
And then again, I heard this great theory. What'd you hear it on? A TV show.
A TV show.
Yeah. Okay, what was it? Unsolved Mysteries?
Right. Go on.
So, yeah, that, again, our plot was just pretty much a race against time.
Right.
And they didn't leave it a lot of time to unfold.
Yeah. Well, would you want to get to the part about Jane's background? Or is that too far ahead? Are we jumping ahead?
We kind of talked about it a little bit already with the tooth.
About her being from Africa?
Yeah,
that tripped me out. I was like, wait, hold up a second.
She misses the rains down in Africa. Gonna take some time and do the things we never had.
Yeah, I mean, how does...
We should have started with that song.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't even think of it.
Yeah.
But evidently Patterson got the tooth, and she has isotopes in there that are from sub-Saharan Africa from when she was a child. So the tooth says that she was born in Africa.
Right.
And the DNA says that she's Taylor Shaw, and both tests are conclusive, so we can't do the was Taylor adopted because I was there when they brought her home from the hospital. I know. Like, yeah. Are you sure you haven't adopted her?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Fairly certain in his mind he kind of has.
Yeah, because he said, her mom would leave her over there with them all the time while she worked and stuff. So he probably does feel, like she's a sister or something, a relative.
So this is where the or maybe not bit of the episode title comes in. And the whole, you want the tooth, you can't handle the tooth. All that fun stuff.
Here we go.
I've really fallen down in the pun area here. I've been trying too hard to talk about what happened in the show.
Yeah, I know. So
it's kind of a toothless thread, isn't it?
Right. What else you got? What else?
Mayfair. Mayfair. We got some stuff going on here. Because at one point, Patterson comes in and says, can we get the non-censored file? Can we look at this? Because she has a tattoo that has to do with this. And Mayfair just absolutely shuts her down. Like, no, I'm handling it. No. So who helped you solve that tattoo? And Patterson went, right, got it. See ya.
She basically told her to beat it. Get out of my office.
And then at the end, she meets with that scary white guy again.
CIA. I kind of knew he was CIA. I didn't want to say it, but I thought
he was something.
I figured he was the CIA. Yep. He reads CIA.
And his name is Tom.
Tom. No last name yet.
We actually getting a name at all was kind of a thing. He's Tom. He's CIA. He wants to talk to Jane to know what else she knows, even though she doesn't know anything else.
Yeah.
And he just keeps pushing on Mayfair, like, we need to do this, we need to take care of it. And it ends with, what do you need from me? Let's make a deal here. And she says, I need for you to get out of my office.
Right.
Like, thank you for shutting him down. I know you're involved in horrible things with him, but thank you for shutting him down. That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I really want to know what daylight is.
Yeah.
'Cause they keep bringing it up, and I'm like, okay, can we give just a little bit more? I want to know what that is. And why nobody wants to talk about it, because it must be really bad.
I think that's either going to be mid-season finale or season finale.
Oh.
Like, they're saving whatever the heck it is for later on in the series, because we have some interesting stuff in the preview, and we're getting to predictions fairly soon, so we'll roll into that fairly quickly. But I don't think we're going to find out about daylight for a bit.
Oh, I know, and that disappoints me because I want to know now. I want to know. Maybe we can have a spin-off show just to call it Daylight.
But nobody likes an info dump.
So
I don't know. We need to wait.
Yeah, to give like the show's been doing bits and pieces. You know,
follow our little tattooed breadcrumbs.
Right,
see where
exactly. They lead. You know what? Something about Daylight could be on Taylor's body. That's a prediction, though.
Something more.
Right? We're moving into that. Any Twitters?
Just the one. Then again, it's not updating super well, but we have one from #SaveCarmilla. That's the name. Shipping things. Saying, I'm a little bummed that Patterson has a boyfriend, considering that I ship her with Jane. Love will find a way. Why have a ship when you can have an armada?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't see it happening, but if that is your thing, do the thing, win the stuff.
Right.
There are such things as poly relationships. We can roll with that.
I want a wedding.
You want a wedding?
I want a wedding show with Patterson and David. That's what I want. I know I'm goofy. Sorry.
That's all right. Do we have anything fun from YouTube? Did we have any of that from last week?
No.
Did we have it pulled up, or is it going to just?
It's not work. Yeah.
Yeah. No. The internet in here does not like us, guys.
It keeps going and going.
But we read your comments and we adore your comments. And while we're talking about your comments, let's talk a little bit about iTunes, because in the same way that you support the show, you can support us. You can support Blindspot, of course, by watching it legally on the channel, on DVR, on Hulu, on the network's website, all that fun stuff. And you can support us by going onto iTunes, subscribing, rating us 5 stars because you love us, right? And leaving reviews. If you leave a review on the podcast in iTunes telling our producers what you like, the producers do see it. They don't see YouTube comments as much, and they don't follow the hashtags because, guys, we have a lot of shows and a lot of hashtags, and some of them move super quickly. But the iTunes reviews will still be there, and that's what our producers see, and that's how you can tell them that, yes, we love this panel, we love these people, we want them to continue talking about tattoos and making puns. Or maybe not making puns, depends on your personal preference, but making puns, come on. So, yeah, comment, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, let us know what you like, leave that review, helps us keep the lights on in the studio, it helps us bring in advertisers, and, it helps us continue to talk about this wonderful show that we love so much.
Right.
Do we have any final thoughts on the episode?
No, I actually just liked it. I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought, it was, I happen to like what do you call it? A lot of backstory on the characters. I just like that because it helps shape the episode.
So you want an episode that's like 90% flashbacks?
Pretty much.
And a case we have to solve in the past.
And then we can get some cases later. I just want to know. I want to see Kurt's dad. I want to see what happened with that. You know what I'm saying? I want to see, just give me a little bit. That's all. Just a tiny bit. That's all.
More backstories.
Just a little bit.
All right, so let's roll into predictions then. Talk a little bit about the future.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
I love that light show. If you're not watching on YouTube, you need to watch at least once to see the light show. Makes me super happy. So we have our trailer for next week, and it turns out that Tom is the director of the CIA, which is a super high position to be involved in something this creepy.
Yeah.
And somehow Jane and Weller wind up in some location, we don't know what, looks like it might be some form of underground safe or filing place that doesn't exist, quote.
Right.
And Tom is out to get Jane. We have scenes with a sniper rifle. We have I think he just wants her dead.
Yeah.
Not really understanding that she's not the threat. The tattoos are already in the system. We're already figuring them out.
Yeah.
Like not really listening to reason and just being paranoid.
Unless not he knows something that we don't know. Maybe.
He knows a lot that we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but, obviously about daylight, but I mean about other things, and maybe that's why he's sort of rushing to to take her down. I don't know, because he has access to the classified files and everything, so who knows what he knows.
You think he knows something Mayfair doesn't know?
I do.
Interesting.
Right, and I think Mayfair knows a lot.
Oh yeah,
but she's going to use it as her weapon.
She was involved in whatever the heck Daylight was, and we're still... It's hard to make predictions on this show because you just never know, and we have so little to build off of.
Right.
I'll be interested to see how a Zapata story plays out.
Yeah.
Because I find it hard to believe that one episode is one day.
Right.
Like, I don't think it goes like that. I don't think they've had Jane for too terribly long.
Right.
But at this point, maybe a week or two.
Maybe.
So it won't take too many episodes for Zapata's gambling debts to come to a head, for that deadline to pass.
Right.
So I'll be interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, and I think that I don't think Jane is going to be Taylor, and I think she's going to be something totally different.
So you don't think she's Taylor, and you don't think she's from Africa?
I had hoped that she was Taylor. I just call her Taylor because I like the name. She could be from Africa. I don't know. We don't know where this girl's from. She could be an alien for all we know. I don't know.
I'd love to see a third red herring. Actually, she's this.
She's. You know what? We might get that. I was thinking that. That's right. I was thinking that. And she may not be any of this stuff.
Honestly, that has been the only thing that's been consistent, is that she found someone else with that seal tattoo, and they gave her a name. They gave her Orion, which didn't come up at all this episode,
no,
interestingly enough.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
So that's another thing to keep on the back burner. We have Orion and Daylight and Tom. Right. Oh my. And we will see how that goes. But I think the seal tattoo is the only thing that hasn't been horrifically misleading.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're going to revisit that.
I'm sure they will.
I hope so. Because every week they uncover something new.
And a SEAL team is more than 3 people.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, they
usually?
are.
Question mark?
Yeah.
6?
I think it's more than that, depending on, how they break them up. Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure we'll find more people that have that particular tattoo. And as to whether or not we'll get any answers as to what Orion actually is, again, I think that's something we're saving more towards mid-season or season finale.
Yeah.
And Orion might tie up in Daylight. We just don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you're right. They may come to a head together. And then we'll wrap that up and we'll have something else to think about. That's true. And do you think now I kind of think this is a pretty obvious question, but do you think Taylor and Will are going to be like lovers?
I'm not super into it.
No?
Especially if he sees her as a sister. Backpedal super hard there.
Well, I always think they always put the two hot leads together.
I don't ship it, but I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Okay.
I am absolutely okay with them being very good friends.
Okay.
More platonic relationships. They don't have to be romantic.
Yeah, I don't see it happening anytime soon, but at some point, once she just starts getting more memories back and things, that she's just going to go, oh my God, he's really cute. Yeah. And, I always say that, as long as it just doesn't jump the shark, I'm good with it.
I'm just not super into it, but
okay.
That's me.
Okay.
I will say that I do think David is going to wind up being evil or working for our organization or something.
That.
I don't trust him. I don't trust anyone on this show.
He's like a little warm bunny. I don't want him to be bad. I want him to be a good little guy.
I don't trust anyone on this show. It's great. This is a guy who doesn't care about things being classified. He's either clueless or has an agenda and is acting clueless as a cover-up. Oh. Given the, again, Xanatos Gambit nature of this show, I would not be surprised if it was the latter.
Yeah.
Anyway, it looks like we are running a little low on time, so we should probably wrap this up. Any last predictions?
No, I think that's good. I think I'm getting excited about it.
Awesome. Well, where can the people find you?
I am at Stephanie G3360 on Twitter and Instagram, and Stephanie Garrett 3360 on YouTube.
And I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at Kiaxet. That's KIAXET. I am also Kia Prime on Snapchat. And I am on so many AfterBuzz shows, you guys. Just for starters, Star Wars Rebels comes back tomorrow. Arrow is back in full swing. And Ruby comes back in a couple weeks, and I am super stoked.
Yep.
All right, thank you guys so much for watching the show. We will see you next week.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.